just entered the bear crawling nation on the No Agenda Stream.
This is R. Mordant McFall, and welcome to the other side of live. Welcome everyone to the #1 late night trailblazing motivational show, otherwise known as The Other Side of Live. The working title for tonight's episode is Venturing Through Undiscovered Country. And tonight we are both alive and kicking it from Hammond, Louisiana, and deep in the Bear's Den in Monticello, Georgia. On the other side of this line is the oh-so-patient, dark side of positive, Charles McFall. Say hello, Charles.
I thought you were trying to say we're both in Port Hole, Louisiana, or wherever it is. Like, what? I'm not there. I'm at home.
Hammond, not Port Hole.
Oh, sorry.
It's just north of New Orleans.
That's awesome. So you may notice some technical difficulties this evening. That's because New Orleans hates internet and he can't get very much of it. So we are playing with our bandwidth as much as possible and doing what we can. And it's going to be a good show. So sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. That's
right. If you want to call in at any time and just say hello, give us grief, maybe even chat about the show, the number is 218-632-1724.
And that doesn't matter because remember, we're doing something new tonight, sir.
We are doing something new as well, right? Not just, but as well.
Well, yeah, just. We talked about it. People don't like to call in and interrupt. They have thoughts and the internet delay gets them down, or they're not sure they're going to interrupt our thoughts. And so we made a comfortable spot for you. And I think it'll flow better. No, you shouldn't call in anytime because then you'll be embarrassed. But at the end of the show, we have set aside at least 10 minutes, if not more. If you want to talk more, you get more. We have a very special ending tonight. It'll let us know that the phone lines are open and is ready for you to call in and give us your thoughts without feeling like you're going to interrupt or anything. And you can do emails, voicemails, and call in live. But we really want you to call in live.
That's right. And I'm just going to throw a little monkey wrench into the works and say, you know what? If you get a wild hair and you want to call us during the show, you go ahead and interrupt. We may ignore you, but you go ahead and interrupt.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So last week, wait. In between last week and this week, we had a Thanksgiving Day. I spent my Thanksgiving in Hammond, Louisiana. No, that's not correct. In Robert, Louisiana, which is right next to Hammond, which is just north of New Orleans. Nobody cares, but that's where I'm at.
It's in
with
Port
about 30-something people at a long table. And it is how I've been spending my Thanksgiving for the last 4 or so years with this family that just opens up their home to a bunch of us who are working at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival and just had a great time. Lovely time.
Lovely time.
What did you do, my friend?
I worked. I edited our show. I edited Lala Siegfried's show, and I worked for the man, and I was happy.
That's right. And you made the big bucks working for the man.
I did indeed. And then I went out to Best Buy and didn't buy anything. And not at Best Buy. No, Best Buy's for suckers, and I was a sucker. And I went out and made some new friends and talked to some people, and it was fun. But yeah, it's the too good to be true deals really are. If you're not the first 5 people, it's not going to matter. But I did have fun and had some experiences, and it was a good time meeting people and telling them about our show.
Well, part of my Thanksgiving tradition is actually I have to work on Friday, on Black Friday. So after the festival day, there's a bunch of us that go out to Best Buy late at night when all the deals are gone, and yet we seem to find some of them still there. And it's just become a fun adventure. We're not really I got to get something, I got to get this. No, we're just going out for the craziness of it. And then we have frozen yogurt afterwards. I don't know.
Froyo.
So last week, episode number 71, Family Matters with guest host Lala Siegfried. I was able to hear the beginning of this. And before I listen to this show, I will hear the rest of it. But so far, it sounds so sweet, so choice. How was it for you? Was it good for you, big man?
You know, I think I told you it was the best show you never did. It's definitely different. The people miss you. And I had to play the role of R. Mordant McFall, which I don't necessarily like. I like to be the one sitting back thinking about what's going to happen next. And and not have to steer so much the topics. But it was fun. Lala is good. I love having her on, and she's always eager. So you just watch your step, man. She's coming for you.
She's gunning for me. She's gunning for my spot.
I think so.
Oh, Lala. You're going to find some coal in your Christmas stocking. All right. Anyways, let's get into it. Venturing through undiscovered country. This past week, we began venturing into uncharted territory. We talked about how our company, Success Freaks, is going to be putting on a motivational conference, most likely in Atlanta, most likely in the middle of June. Though we, in part, do not know what we're doing or what this should look like. I mean, I've never put on a conference before. I've attended, a science fiction fantasy con. I've gone to, other things like that, but I've never put on anything like this. So what do you do when you see where you want to go? You see that thing, you have that lighthouse in the distance beckoning you forward, but you don't know how to get to there. You have a great idea, but you just don't know how to get there. I mean, you can do all your planning, you can sit around, and yet you do not know what this is going to look like or how to do it. And it's kind of what we're stuck with. So I thought, this is where we're at. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
Thanks. That's often. Often people are thwarted by what they do not know. The fear of failure or fear of success keeps most people, 99.5%, from transitioning their idea into reality. Most people talk themselves out of it before even one attempt. Less than 1% of the people who have a great idea, less than 1% actually make a first step. Everybody usually talks himself out of it. Do you find that to be true with you?
Kind of. It's easy to find reasons not to, and there have been times when I've said no. Like I there were plenty of reasons for us not to submit to South by Southwest. It was just horrible timing. It was a much harder conference to get into. So there were reasons, and I brought those up, and I always at least address them, because I find if you don't address reasons not to, you won't find the right reasons to do it. So for myself, I typically end up doing more stuff, but sometimes it's just you get tired. Sometimes you just get lazy. But yeah, sometimes in my case, I tend to do too much because I think I can. I don't really look at what I'm doing already. And then I overburden the boat and sink a little bit.
Right. I think sometimes, especially for the South by Southwest thing, we had kind of a forward momentum going. We had some inertia going. And if we didn't do it, it would have been us admitting defeat or, admitting a fear, not moving forward with something. And I think that would have halted us, if only just for the sake of doing it, just for the sake of keeping that machine that we were, propelling forward, that was moving us forward, keeping that well oiled. For the sake of doing that, we had to do it. Because if we hadn't, that would have been our first, well, we didn't do that. I guess we don't have to do this, or I guess we don't have to. At that point, we were doing every opportunity that came our way. We were seizing it. And that hope of what might be was fueling us looking for other opportunities. So I think that was for me, that was the main reason on doing South by Southwest, because it would have been bad for us not to even try.
Right. Much like the NMX in January in Vegas, I said all along, I have this weird mental balance between investing money in my future versus wasting money on something that's not really returning anything. And what am I taking away from my family? And so when we propose to speak, well, that's a no-brainer. They're paying for the conference. We just have to get there. And obviously it's a big deal. We're speaking, so that's a no-brainer. So I was going. Then they came up with the scholarship idea, and I was like, no, I really want to focus my goals on the speaking. I don't want to because I think that does play into the universal message of when you write your goals, they need to be specific, because if you go, well, any which way I can go was not my goal. My goal was I want to be there as a personality. I want to be there as a speaker. So I don't want to just go on a scholarship just to go. Right. I didn't like that. Then we didn't know what they were going to give us for being a nominated show. So like, well, if they have to give me a full ride. We get nominated and they want me there. They have to give me a full ride or I'm not going. And I think I was falling into that. I don't know what this looks like. It's undiscovered country. I'm afraid of making mistakes that I've made in the past and burning resources, if you will, into something that's not worthwhile. Because I'm not saying podcasting is not worthwhile. Chasing our dream is definitely worthwhile. But right now on the table, this conference might not be. And after talking to you and talking to my wife, before we knew what the discount was going to be to go, because we got nominated, you guys were both saying, no, we need to go. We need to not let this stop us. We need to not find reasons. Because at that point, I guess I was looking for reasons to not go. And the cost is a pretty good reason to not go. But you're talking to you both. It's worked out. And now, all of a sudden, we definitely have another chance at doing something live there. And once we hear details, we'll release it to everybody else. But that would have been a flip-flopping. That would have been, for me, that would have been, well, I said I'm not going. I didn't save any money. I canceled everything. Oh, crap. Now we have a chance to actually speak there? That I have to be there to find out if I can do it? I just missed that opportunity. And that's not the case because of you and my wife both believing I found a good reason to do it. And mine was I'm finally going to break the seal in a good way. I think maybe you can touch on that here, talking about undiscovered country. We've used breaking the seal in the bad way, but in the good way. I've always said I need to go to these conferences. I've always said one day I'll have enough money that I won't have to worry about anything and I won't feel guilty and I can just go. And that's not today. Today I feel a little guilty. Today I do have the money, but I'm having to, balance things, right? But I will break the seal to where now I've been to the conference. Now I know what it brings me and I know how to plan. How do you feel about breaking that seal in a positive way?
I think it's a necessary, for lack of a better word, a necessary evil. Now, I've been to a conference with the Tortuga twins where we were trying to find a way to distribute our DVDs. And it turned out what we learned from that conference was it was more about people who had a series, whether it's a TV series or something like that had 15 episodes or 13 episodes. And so we learned what that conference was. We spent a lot of money, at the time that we had it on this conference, that if we could parlay that information into potentially doing a show for ourselves. We chose not to do that, which good or bad, we chose not to do that. I think breaking the seal on this for us, we're going to know what these conferences are like. We're going to make a lot of network connections, et cetera, et cetera. Venturing through undiscovered country is about moving forward. Even though all you have is the destination in mind, you kind of know where you'd like to go, but you're not sure how to get there, and you don't quite know what it's going to look like when you get there either. That's what we got going on here. Our destination is like with the conference that we're going to be putting on. We know we want to do that. We want to be able to bring inspiration content to people in our neck of the woods. Going to NMX, going to South by Southwest, that's more like just a mecca. That's almost like a pilgrimage that we're going to go, and we have no idea what this is going to look like. We know we're going to have a lot of fun, and hopefully we can parlay that into something useful for what we're doing here at the other side of live and with our company, Success Freaks. Hopefully we won't just let that slip through our fingers as I've experienced in the past, but I think it's a good thing to go because it's bad not to. It's bad not to take this step.
And what we're going in...
It's a factor. Yes.
And we're going we have to get something out of it, be it networking, be it learning what the next step is. We have to get something out of it. We're not just going, sorry, I just said going there. I have been to a conference that Microsoft Windows put on to launch Vista. And I went there because it was a cool insider IT thing. My IT buddies invited me to it. They're giving free giveaways. It was a really cool geeky thing. And I didn't buy into their product at all, but I went in not having any idea. Just, it was a fun for laughs. Didn't get much out of it. I got some free pens. I got, I think I won a sound card. You know, it was cool little giveaways, but I really got nothing lasting out of this experience. But for us going into NMX, it's a sacrifice. I mean, I've already said on the air, the first day of the conference is my 13th anniversary. So that's a big deal. It's costing me just shy of $1,000 to go. And that's getting deals. You and I have both worked our friends and had connections and getting deals ongoing. And thanks to the Podcast Awards being nominated, thank you guys for nominating us. We get a really great deal on getting in the door. So that's awesome there. You know, but there's sacrifice. So we're going in going, oh, this isn't just a goof. This isn't just a, oh, well, I'll go to some of them. No, we're going into work. We're going into work the crowd. We're going into work contacts, to network, to learn. This is school for us as well. And hopefully to also grow our audience while we're there, to make an impact on people. Maybe get picked up by Leo Laporte in the Twit network because he hands us our award that night. That'd be awesome. So
yeah. So those of you in our listening audience, have you ever had something where you knew where you wanted to go, you knew what you wanted to do, or at least you even had just a vague idea of it, but you weren't sure how it was going to work out? Have you ever taken that step forward? Have you ever taken it, kind of like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, that leap of faith onto the invisible bridge that all of your senses are telling you are not there? Or if you're forging into undiscovered country and the brush is so high that you can't see where you're going, you just know the direction you're supposed to be going in. Of course, that fear is a factor. Fear of the unknown has kept many of us from venturing forth and creating a new destiny. Often we'll hide our fear, our reason for stalling, behind other factors. I mean, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I should be doing something else more important, more pressing. I got Tortuga work that I need to be doing right now. Today was mostly on getting the show ready and getting all the other things that had to do with the other side of life ready. I'm putting on a Tortuga thing. So more importantly, I'm too busy to be doing these things that I love to do. But my destination is into this undiscovered country. My destination is to uncharted territory that I'm not sure about where I'm going. And it's going in the direction of my fear. So I'm pushing forward with that. And I originally wrote, instead of saying fear is a factor, I originally wrote fear is always a factor. But this isn't necessarily true either. I mean, you can get used to anything. Toastmasters has something they call systematic desensitization, which basically those of you who have real fear of standing up in front of people doing public speaking, bit by bit, step by step, speech by speech, you get used to it. And that's something that you're experiencing now, Charles, although I don't think you have the fear for it. You're definitely experiencing Toastmasters.
Well, I don't get fear. Now, I want to say I love my Toastmasters group. And if you ever want to get past your fear of speaking, of being in front of people, or if you're like us and you just want to be better at speaking, you want to take classes in diction from Lala Siegfried, which is awesome, allmynonsense.com. But you also,
101.
Yeah, she's helped me a lot, and I find myself still getting lazy and not practicing, and I have to have her push me a little more. But you also go to Toastmasters. There's millions of them around the world, maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't know. But there's a lot. I mean, my small area, I'm not talking about Atlanta. I'm talking about outside of Atlanta. There's at least 4 that I can easily drive to. So it's about just finding the one that suited my schedule. And these is a great group of people. I did actually officially join up last night. I paid my dues. And I'm learning that while I am very good at making things up on the fly, it's easier when there's just a microphone and a computer monitor in front of me. I'm very good at it. I'm very natural at it. So the first time I ever did table topics in front of people, I got a little nervous, a little that nervous energy going on. I don't want to look like an idiot because I'm not an idiot. And I didn't. I came off very well. I actually won Best Table Topics that night. Then there was another night I did Table Topics, and I felt it wasn't as good, and then I didn't win. I noticed I didn't win then. But what my big challenge coming up is something you're decent. See, you're good at writing and preparing, and then you get really nervous, maybe nervous energy, maybe scared. I'm not going to speak for you. But when you get in front of people, it throws you off. I'm different. You throw me something that's my natural instinct to do, which is just talk. I can do that in front of people because we're just sitting here around the table. It's not a big deal. What I do have to do is in 2 weeks, I'm giving my first speech at Toastmasters. So I have to write it. I have to practice it. I have to time it. And I have to not memorize it because, for me, that kills it. So I have to make sure I get the points without just quoting from memory. That's something that I'm learning. And that's almost a fear. But I got to tell you, dude, I get nervous. And when I try to lay down to sleep, like last night, I tried to lay down to sleep and I'm thinking I'm going to be doing a speech in 2 weeks. I've got that nervous energy that makes me not sleep. I think about all the possibilities. I think about how I can do it. Once I get it written and done and practiced, I think that'll go away. But is yours more of a nervous hyper energy or is it a fear?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about.
In front of people, speaking in front of people.
It's more of a yes. I think it's more of the nervous hyper energy. I get kind of shaky. I get my mouth gets dry, and so my lips all stick to my teeth, and I know that it's just a phase I'm going through. It's like when when we first started doing the No Agenda stream at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. First 2 shows, I was so happy nobody could see me because I think I forgot to eat, so I had the shakes from that and everything. And then after show 3 or 4, it's all hat. Now I'm sitting here in a room all by myself and a couple of screens up and talking to the world. And it's like, no big deal. I think the same thing's going to happen when I'm doing public speaking. Eventually I'm going to have that nervous energy, but then I'll get over it. I mean, soon after you take those first few steps, you stabilize. Getting used to what you're doing while you're venturing forth. I remember when I was first driving across country, I was pulling, at one time I was pulling a trailer, like an 18-foot travel trailer that I would stay in. Another time I was driving a motorhome with my car behind me. And when you first get onto the road, you're just like every little bump, every little thing, and the trailer is swaying behind you because you're not smart enough to have a sway bar on when you really should. And you almost you almost have a bad wreck a couple of times. But after 100 miles, 200 miles, 300 miles or more, you get used to it. Systematic desensitization. So it's like that with any new venture. It's like you're pulling this huge thing behind you, and you really don't have control of the wheel until you go a couple of 100 miles down the road. And then you're like, I got this.
Yeah.
So that's what it's like for me.
Yes, and I think that's what it's like with us going to the conference. I think that's what it's like with us trying to put on our own conference. Visualization, I'm learning more and more, is a really powerful tool. It's not enough just to write the goal, which is helpful, but to see it happening, to know we're going to be there, to know we're going to do things. I have a hard time visualizing things I can't see, okay? So I don't know the setup of NMX. I don't know the layout, so I don't know what it would look like for me to be up in front of the room. However, when we go, all I'd really need to do is see somebody else doing it. And I go, okay, this is how it looks. This is how it should feel. Then, of course, we are free to go up to the front of the room and look out at the audience afterwards. And then, boom, we even have a better visualization of it. Yes, that's the same thing. That's the desensitization, is once you start doing it, fear comes from the unknown, right? I mean, fear comes with the truth is I really just don't know how it's going to go down.
Yeah.
And my energy.
And then once you get that experience under your belt, then you're like, okay, I know this. I have an idea what it's like. That's like whenever I go to a new festival, I like to stand out on the stage. Although I've done this, thousands of times before. I want to stand out on the stage and look out and go, okay, I got a feel for the place. I like to get a feel for the place.
Yes.
But sometimes it helps to bring somebody along or speak to somebody who's gone where you want to go. Sometimes it's best to hire a native guide on your adventure, whether it's a mentor or somebody who's been there, done that before.
Well, that's a lot. For me, that's a lot of what Toastmasters is. Now I'm getting a lot of compliments on my evaluation, giving evaluations and compliments on my table topics, that kind of thing. And there are some people who are really new to speaking, They're like, wow, they're honest, they're fun to talk to. And of course, who doesn't love a good compliment? But they compliment me on my speaking, and they say, we don't know why you're here. We talk about how you don't need to be here. And I'm like, well, okay, I've had 6 years of just running my mouth, and you're only getting a minute and a half of it. Wait till, when I have to prepare, that's a different thing. When I have to practice, but there's still that energy. I love preparing for these kind of things. I love coming up with the ideas of the presentation and how it's going to go. And I know you and I, even in preparing our proposals for NMX, we were getting hyper and excited. And I know some of the concern from our team and from our friends around us was, together, we have not done public speaking. And I don't think either one of us have really done public speaking in this format of teaching podcasting, of teaching motivation ever. So the concern was, do you really want your first time to be this huge conference that you're putting a lot of weight on? And part of me goes, of course, why not? Because I sleep in the deep end. I'm always go big or go home. That's my thing.
But how much further along do you think we'd be by doing it that way?
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. But at the same time, you and I are saying we need to get out and get more. We just need to be doing it. We don't have to just go big or go home. We need more speaking experience to build up the resume. That's why I joined Toastmasters, because it is a highly recognized organization throughout the world. And I can say I'm a member. I have these achievements. I have that achievement. And it gives me practice to be able to do this better. And that's what I was looking for there. So it's that small room of people who've been there. Some of them have been there, some of them are new, but we're all doing it together. It's a safe environment. I think anybody can do that for any project that they want to take on.
Yep. I think that helps you in that uncharted area. It gets back to the native guide analogy. I think that going to this conference for us, whether or not we have somebody who's going to show us the way, experiencing the event is almost like it's part of it's our teacher. It's our mentor. For me, when I first started doing The Other Side of Live, doing a live show, and that going live after doing Mortal World Radio, you were kind of my mentor. You were my native guide in this. You showed me how to put on a show. You showed me what to do when your internet goes down and you have to keep talking even though you're not talking to anybody. Showed me how not to freak out. You would help guide me through these steps. You helped walk me through these steps. You gave me enough lead. You threw me in the deep end when you needed to do that. So when it comes to doing this radio show, you were kind of my native guide. For the conference, we found somebody who put on these shows before, and so we have a native guide for that.
Yes.
And when you first started doing for your speaking, you have Toastmasters. But when you first started doing podcasting and radio stuff, who did you have?
See, that was the biggest problem. When I actually started was back in the first year of podcasting, back 2005, 2006. And I had a little bit of Adam Curry to listen to and follow. But, I reached out to the community, and I'd make friends, and I'd beg and plead, tell me what you did. If I heard something, I would say that I liked, like, how did you do that? What are you recording with? And I just asked everybody what they were doing. So I guess it's that old phrase, school of hard knocks. My mentor was just getting out there, failing forward. And I have been lucky enough now to meet people who help with things, much like, I don't want to say his name, sorry, Gitmo Slave. Much like Gitmo Slave and No Agenda has really changed our live game. We have stepped up because he knows streaming, and he's willing to teach me anything I want to know. And Mr. Oils of No Agenda has really helped with some of the business side of things and teaching me stuff. But what you do is what we practice. Instead of having a mentor, and I was going to say that when you said something about mentors, I've been wanting mentorships for a long time. I actually asked Henry Rollins himself to be my mentor at one time. That didn't take, because he's like, yeah, okay, that's a nice kid, move along. He's a big star. Can't blame him. But I do reach out from time to time to help people with my content delivery, help people with my speaking, show me a different side of the world. And I think that was my mentorship in and of itself was, okay, the path went over here. Everybody's over here. I know that's just not working for me. Where's my big machete? I'm going to go bushwhacking through the weeds and make my own path. And, oh, look, I'm not alone. I found somebody else who was coming from a different direction, and we shared ideas. So I helped them with my knowledge, much like with you. I helped you with what I knew, and you helped me with what you knew, and it was a back and forth. So a lot of times a mentorship doesn't have to be this person who's doing it for 50 years and they're a professional. It can be just somebody else who wants to do the same thing you want to do, and they've done it a little differently.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. They can help at least. And sometimes there's just strength in numbers, or at least comfort in numbers. I think that you're learning that with Toastmasters, because even though maybe they're showing you how to go and what to do, there are also people who are with you. You know, they're in the mix with you. They're learning too. And there's a comfort to that. Look, we're in this uncharted area together. And yeah, maybe you have a better clue than I do of where this is going and how we're doing it, but not much. And there's a comfort in that still. And remember that as you're venturing into the undiscovered country, as you're going where you've never gone before, into this thing that you have this vague idea of what you want to do, but you're not sure about, you're blazing a trail. Now, you may be blazing it for those behind you, but really you're probably blazing it for you when you want to do it again, so that the next time you can go back and go, look, there's my trail. This is how I did it this time. Now, when I went to the right over here was a little more treacherous. I'm going to go to the left this time. So blazing a trail is really just a ready, fire, aim experience.
Right.
And just like that, you don't want to hold yourself back. Absolutely prepare. Absolutely you should do what you can to make sure that you are as ready as you possibly are to set out on this venture. But be careful you don't succumb to analysis paralysis, where you're just stuck back there trying to figure things out so much that you don't go anywhere. Don't do that. That's worse. Move forward with your project. If necessary, fail forward. But take those first few steps and the rest will come.
Change your mind. The rest will follow.
That's right. Change your mind, change your life. That's the way it works.
Change your habits. You know, to be honest, there is I guess a bit of fear when you start mentioning the conference, and it's such a beast to tackle. You know, my mind goes to, well, we can tackle steps. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this. But the thing that scares me the most is the money involved. I believe we can work deals, and I've done some crazy things with a little bit of resources before, so I know I can do it. But you know, when you first start talking, it's easy to go, not now. You know, because I won't say no. You know that about me. I'm not going to say no, but I will. If I'm afraid, I'll say not now. Now, sometimes that's an appropriate answer. Do I need to go to NMX? Not NMX. Do I need to go to South by Southwest this year? No, not now. You know, I really don't. It's just that'd be a vacation and be frivolous. Do I need to go to New Media Expo? Yes, I do. You know, that's a different thing. Well, you're talking about being prepared. There's only, anybody who's ever been to school can know there's only so much prepared you can be without actually doing it. Period. End of story. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. I went to paramedic school. I went to EMT school and then paramedic school. And I'm telling you, I was the most knowledgeable person. I graduated with a 4.0, top of my class, aced the test. I knew my stuff backwards and forwards. And you get out, and the first call you get, you don't know what you're doing, man. You've got the basics, because you cannot, there's only so much mental preparation you can do without experience. Now, on the flip side, just getting out there and experiencing things, if I were just to go and get on an ambulance with no training, that's worse. You know, but there are some things, much like with podcasting. I had to get out there and build the experience and become the teacher for those who wanted to learn, because it was being a pioneer. It was being a trailblazer. Sometimes experience matters the most, but if you can find a balance in preparation and experience, that's when you become the golden rock god.
Sometimes it takes just doing it. Sometimes sometimes if you're, and I'm a big fan of being ready. I'm a big fan of get your ducks in a row and then move forward. And sometimes I hold myself back too much. But sometimes it takes just committing and going forward. We had a guest in TOSOL number 69, The Ripple Effect. We had Doug Grady, and he threw out the line, throw your hat in the ring. Commit to that. If you're going to do something, throw yourself into it and everything else will follow. You commit to whatever it is you want to do, and the universe will begin working with you to accomplish your goals. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Jack Canfield said, after decades of research into how the human brain works, scientists now know that for our brains to figure out how to get to what we want, we must first decide what we want. Once we lock in our desires, our mind and the universe can step in to help make our dreams a reality. So first you got to figure it out what it is that you want and commit to it. And then you move forward with that. Your commitment will put you and the universe on notice that you're not messing around no more. That's when things begin to get interesting. That's when you start having the synchronicity of life. You notice that once you commit to do something, hey, look, this opportunity opened up, or I noticed this opportunity, or I see this deal, or I see these people. I meet the right people that I need to meet in order to accomplish this. The newest member of our Success Freaks team, Janice, is somebody who's working with the Tortuga Twins in North Carolina, and she just happens to have put on these conferences before. And it was just all of a sudden the scales fell from my eyes, and I was like, wow, that's odd. Suddenly we have this right person in the right place at the right time, and our needs are being met because we committed. Yes, we're going to do this. Okay, fine. You said you are. Here you go. Now, it doesn't always seem like that. It doesn't always feel that way. That's why we talk about venturing into the undiscovered country. It's scary. There's this line of quotes from Shakespeare in Love Shakespeare in the Love that I really, really like. It's between Philip Henslowe and Hugh Fenimore. The two characters are talking back and forth. And Philip Henslowe says, Mr. Henneman, allow me to explain about the theater business. The natural condition is one of insurmountable obstacles on the road to imminent disaster. And then Fenimore says, so what do we do? Then Henslowe says, nothing. Strangely enough, it all turns out well. Fenimore says, how? And then Henslowe says my favorite quote, I don't know. It's a mystery. When I used to do human chess matches, when I used to direct human chess matches, and it's a theater piece where people are playing the chess pieces, and then the two people are playing chess, and one lands on a piece. You don't automatically get the square. You have to fight for that square. And then stage combat commences. What would happen is that people would get hurt, somebody would drop out, some weird obstacle just before the show opened would come up. And oddly enough, something would happen and they would all work out. How did that happen? I don't know. It just does. It's a mystery. So I got to experience that firsthand. And in theater, that really happens. And I feel that if you commit to something, that happens as well. You take that leap of faith onto the invisible bridge on your way to the Holy Grail.
Right. Talking about just working out, I mean, that's something my wife and I said. And that's why experience is a great teacher, because it's something to fall back on. Now, if you have bad experiences, you need to change your habits to try new things. And before I go back on things working out, I do want to touch on one other topic real quick. Being afraid of the unknown, to me, is a lot better than being afraid of the known. Because I got to tell you, sometimes I look around. There's been many times in my life I've looked around going, I hate it here. I hate normal people. I hate being, quote unquote, middle of the road, doing what everybody else does, normal society. I hate it. Give me some bushes. Let me go hunting. Let me get out of here. When I was building websites for my show originally, it was like that. I can't do what everybody else is doing. I have to find a new way. So fear of the known is worse to me. I don't like the known. I guess maybe it's better. I fear the known. It pushes me into the unknown. It drives me forward. Everything working out. When I went to lose my job a couple of years ago, when they went to close my office, my wife, of course, understandably, is concerned, upset, worried. I was worried too. But I like to tell her, it's going to work out, because look at what we've done over the last 10 years, 8 years, whatever it was. Everything always has worked out. Because we take steps to make sure. We don't just wait for things to fall in our lap by any means, but we've always made it through. No matter what challenge we've had, we've conquered it. It always works out, and we don't always know how. That's an important experience to have.
Yes.
Amen, brother. And that's something
baby.
And that's something you can't prepare for, right? You can't prepare well, some people say, well, I have this degree. I know I can get a job. That was great 10 years ago. As of 5 years ago, IT degree professionals are fighting for baseline entry jobs. Here we go. Hold on.
Got to play this one right, Roger. Can't seem desperate. Wait 3 days, that's the rule. Oh, God, I want to talk to him now! Damn!
So that is your cue. The phone.
That means that the phone lines are open.
That's right. We want to know how you deal with your undiscovered country. What are you afraid of? What are you not moving forward in? 218-632-1724, or you can call in 206-666-5458. It's a voicemail number. Speak pipe on the other side of live.com, or comments or whatever you want. You put, R. Mordant Mon or Charles or this is episode 72. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you can even email us 72@theothersideoflive.com. And this time next week, we will read your comments. We will play your speak pipes. But right now, you can call in live. So is there anything we are going to vamp, but this is not.
I was going to say, we're going to keep going, but we want you to interrupt us. So please interrupt us. But there's more stuff that we can talk about.
So I guess we're going to say this is swim class. Okay. We're now treading water, waiting for you kiddies to jump in and swim to us. So come swim, call the number 218-632-1724. You'll hear a nice little robot lady saying, welcome to the No Agenda, whatever we called it. I forget. You hit 3333 pound, like she says, and you'll get right in. So we're going to keep it light. We're going to tread water. But Mr. Mon, what do you think right now might be something that you've been putting off, but now after we've talked about our show tonight, or talked about the topics on the show, they went, you know what, I've just been afraid of that. I really need to see why I'm afraid or what I can do different.
I think that the main inspiration for tonight's show was the conference that we're going to be putting on, because it really is uncharted territory for us. And for some reason, I don't have as much of a fear. Maybe it's because we found somebody who's done this before, at least has a clue, at least knows what it looks like, so we can go, well, what happens here? What does this mean? What does this mean? Maybe I'm just the bumblebee that doesn't know I can't fly yet, and so I'm flapping my wings and I'm airborne. So there's no real fear in this for me. Once we get into the public speaking version of it, because I haven't done it enough, I'll be nervous there, but that'll be just systematic desensitization as well. So, but I think all of this moving forward with all of this. But again, we've been having meetings for the last month or so, once a week. And I think that once you're committed, you take daily steps towards achieving your goal. Sure, the meetings are just once a week, but we're doing other things as well, moving forward with this. So I'm not sitting here all freaked out. The Tortuga thing, I'm a little more freaked out about, because there's so much to do before that show goes on. One of the steps was creating a roadmap where you want to go. Now, the commitment comes first, not the roadmap. You have to figure out what it is you wish to accomplish, then make your list. This is one of your steps, not an excuse not to move forward. Well, I don't have a roadmap, so I can't do this yet. The same thing, the same thing with the conference, the same thing speaking, the same thing with the Tortuga show, although we had a great idea for that, and then it developed into everything. So just taking care of business right now, I'm too busy to be nervous. I'll be nervous just before.
I've always said that about myself. I've said, you should call in now, 218-632-1724. We're waiting on you. But I've always said, you can phrase it however you want, but I've said I've been too stupid or too ignorant to be afraid. That's been my entire life. One of the earliest memories I can have of not being afraid of new experiences was my family helped pioneer homeschooling in Georgia back in the 80s. We were starting to do homeschooling when nobody really knew what that was, especially in the sticks of the country that we were in. The countryside, not, USA. Anyway, so, yeah, I know. I expected to get an email correcting me. What country do you think you're in? No, shut up. All right, so, but my mother did everything she had to do. She found out the books. She found out, everything she had to do, talk to the school board, those kind of things. So local news affiliate of Fox. Fox was brand spanking new, wasn't even in the top 5 network channels, much less anything else. They had a local affiliate, and we got in the newspaper first. My parents were interviewed in the local newspaper, and that's how the affiliate got a hold of it. So they wanted to do an interview, and they had an adult on who was a teacher or whatever. She had a teaching background, so she was teaching her kids. And then they had me. I think I was between 8 and 10 years old. And I went in, and from all accounts, because we don't have video of it or anything that I know of, but from all accounts, man, I just taught circles around everybody. They would ask a question, and I was a natural-born podcaster, man. And my mom, I think beforehand, my mom was like, "Are you scared?" And I literally went in my innocent, childlike nature, "Why? What would I be? What are you talking about?" And they were smart enough not to at least teach me fear then. I think they did teach me some bad things later, but they let it go then. And I went in, I remember going, this is just me talking to some lady in some weird place I've never been. That's what it was. And apparently I did well. I'd love to get a hold of that.
At the
time? I want to say between 8 and 10. We were, because I know where we were in Georgia. We were in the small town of Camilla. So we moved there when I was 5. So yeah, between the ages of probably, because I went to first grade at a private school, and then we did homeschooling after that. So probably between the ages of 8 and 10, 7 and 10, that's how old I was, yeah.
So that number is 218-682-1724.
I've been reminded. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, and again, you can call in and interrupt anytime, but here's the thing. Decide what you want to do and do it. Take that not-so-blind leap of faith and venture forth into that undiscovered country. Blaze trails wherever you go for yourself and for others. Find a native guide or 3 to help you along the way, but ultimately get off your comfortably numb butt and do something with your life. We dare you. Now, our experience, Charles and I are all in all the Success Freaks team is doing just that. We're learning how to speak. We're producing a Success Freaks conference in June of 2013. So we don't know what it's going to look like from here, but we will. And the next one and the next one after that will be built on the trails we're forging with this first one. And if we can do this, you can do this. Period.
I honestly kind of picture it as the Matrix, in the movie The Matrix, where there's some rules that are meant to be broken. There's some rules that you have to strictly follow, and there's some rules you can bend the crap out of. And you can pretty much form anything you want. And that's kind of our future. I don't take what other people say, this is how things are supposed to be. I believe that this is not air that I'm breathing. I believe that there is no spoon. I believe I can fly. I can shape this. You and I together and our team can shape this the way we want it to be. I mean, I even said that in the phone call today, was Janice was saying that, well, I'm not sure about free. I'm like, baby, you got to believe. You'd be surprised at what I can get for free. It's all about value for value and making the relationships. But I really do believe that we can pull things off, and you and I together can do that. Oh, we have a call. Yay. Here we go. Let me unmute you. Come on. Unmute. There we go. 503. Tell us about your deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
Dennis, my friend, it is good to hear from you.
How's it going, man?
It's
been a while.
It has been a while. We are talking tonight on the show about Undiscovered Country, venturing out into the unknown and shaping our own futures. And you, sir, run a show here on the No Agenda Stream on Monday evenings called the Dead Man Show. And I'm sure podcasting was new to you at one point. What is it you've been doing to get into the Undiscovered Country?
Well, I just wanted. I don't think podcasting was new to me. I used to have to operate a radio rig, and I do get a kick out of Adam talking about Morse code because I was trained to do that also. But I think the biggest step I ever took wasn't wasn't anything to do with my earlier life. This was after I got out of the military and I was looking for a job, and I had the skills and I had all the time put into this position. I was offered a job with another company, took it, and they sent me to New York to sit in front of people in Wall Street. And this is a guy who was working a job that was paying a quarter of what the new job was paying. I had to make an impression on these people. I was terrified. Not because I didn't know it, not because the information wasn't there, but simply because I didn't have the surety of my knowledge that I knew what I was talking about enough to where I could have confidence to just go, oh, this is nothing. Whereas, you know, you go into battle, you go into these other situations, you go, you know, there's one or two things that are going to happen from this is I'm going to walk out or I'm not. Whereas you go into these meetings and you go into these interviews and you go into these conferences and you're going, what's the worst that can happen? I can learn something. I'm not going to die from this. I'm not going to get wounded from this. It can go good or it can go bad. And even if it goes bad, I'm going to use that as a learning tool. And that's exactly the way I approached that position. Went on successfully for 8 years until it disappeared with the crash of Wall Street.
Mm.
But sometimes you just got to look at what you know and say, do I know enough? And if you don't know enough, how can I improve? More than likely, though, if you're putting yourself into that position, those other people have seen something in you that you're denying.
There you go.
Nobody's that dumb. They're not going to say, well, let's just grab some Joe off the street and have him, you know, do our work. No, they have to look at what you can do and how you can do it, what your capabilities are, what you say your capabilities are, and then obviously you have to step up and, you know, hit the ball out of the park, which you can do provided you have the knowledge and the understanding of the material it is you're presenting.
I think we talked earlier tonight about experience, and there's just some things you cannot learn without experience. And I totally forgot about your military background for a moment, but I found that what you said was true for me. I found that working on the ambulance for 10 years, knowing what true life and death situations really are, and then going into an office where people act like their stuff's life and death was much like your statement of, well, when I went into battle, I knew two things, or one of two things was going to happen. I'm either walking out or I'm not. That experience, having a different experience than anybody else, changes your fear level going into the situations, doesn't it? Oh, yeah.
Well, you develop an understanding of, well, at least I did. I can't speak for anybody but myself. But I developed an understanding of what doesn't kill me, I get to live through.
Sometimes you got to feel the fear and do it anyways.
Exactly. Exactly. And learn from it. Learn from it. Take the cue to say, this is what makes me afraid. Why? Is it preparation? Is it lack of preparation? Is it lack of knowledge? What am I missing that's causing me to doubt? And then, again, just correct it. And that builds confidence. Of course, nothing's going to build your confidence like, you know, walking up to the plate and knocking the ball out of the park, right? That's the biggest confidence boost you can get. But sometimes that ground rule double, that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. All right, I want to say thank you for calling in. You can find that I always get it wrong because I want to say the Dead Man Show. You can find the Dead Man Show on No Agenda Stream, 5 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Also at hotcoffee.org.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, sir, for calling in. We always appreciate it.
Thank you,
Well, I appreciate you guys being there. Have a good evening.
So that's what it's like, everybody. You call in, you share your insights, and we treat you nicely. That's how we roll.
For the most part.
for the most part.
Sometimes we're a little ornery.
And sometimes we just give you a number 3. So I have been reminded to share some thoughts about tonight. Sometimes I've been with our Mordant Mon for over 2 years now, and I've heard a lot of the things that he has to say. And sometimes I feel like we're rehashing things that we've done, and that bothers me because I like to go to new. But I get gentle reminders from time to time that it's not the same for everybody. We have new listeners tonight. Even if you're an old listener, you may have forgotten it. Maybe you needed to hear it new. Or maybe you heard something tonight that rang a bell and you want more. You can find the old shows where I know we've talked about a lot of these things. Failing forward, ready, fire, aim, throwing your backpack over the wall. We've talked about these things. You can go to the other side of live and find all the archives, all 71 previous shows there, and you'll find more information on what you want to learn. This is where
that's theothersideoflive.com.
So what else is going on? Where else can they find us? What else can we do, sir?
Well, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, you can find us at theothersideoflive.com/NAS. We broadcast live on the No Agenda stream, and that's what the NAS stands for, No Agenda stream. You can also find us on iTunes. We are available there. Your favorite is TuneIn. If you want to listen to us live on your smartphone, if you've moved away from your steam-powered phone and you just don't have an iPod, you don't have it handy, and it's Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can get the TuneIn app. And where are they supposed to find us on that?
No Agenda Global Radio is where the station that we are on through TuneIn.
Yeah. Now, if you want to listen to our older shows, you can find another app called Stitcher. And I've actually created a The Other Side of Live channel on my phone so I could listen to our old shows and other similar things as well.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I know we need to, that threw me off because I was thinking, hey, I need to contact Stitcher and get us listed if we're not listed already. I can't remember if we are or not.
I think we're listed under Mordant World. That needs to change, but
yeah,
you know.
Nolan and I need to get together on a day and just really, I told you, just roll up our sleeves and spend the 3 hours digging through code and fixing everything. So, of course, we've got the brand new, beautiful theothersideoflive.com up there. We'd love to hear your comments. Email us, comments at theothersideoflive.com. Stitcher, SpeakPipe is there as well. Also, if you're a YouTube kind of girl, because we know you are, and you're sitting there going, I'm a boy, yeah, just take the compliment and move on. Okay, so if you like YouTube, theothersideoflive.com/YouTube will get you all of our radio shows through YouTube with individual pictures stylized for that episode.
Very nice, very nice. So that is just some of the places. If you want to see more pictures of us, you know we're on Instagram. Those of you with iPhones, those of you with Android phones, you can find us either at Bear Crawling or at Mordant World on Instagram, or you can just check out rebelmouse.com/House of the Bear or /Mordant World. And you can see all of that stuff without having to sign up for it.
That's right. And we're actually trying to get that integrated into the website so that you can see it there as well. And I was reminded, thank you, Rock Girl, who keeps me on track. We need volunteers. We're trying to put together an honest-to-God radio demo reel so that we can get to bigger audiences, so that we can get on Sirius Satellite, XM Satellite, even on your local radio station that's in your backyard. That is our goal. That is where we want to go. And we're not leaving No Agenda, don't get me wrong, but we have to put together tools to do that. Our Mordant Mon and myself are busy, yes, but we're also too close to our information. We think everything we say is great. So we need volunteers to listen to the older shows. Anything you want to listen to. You see a topic that interests you, listen, write down the episode number, and when you hear something that blows your mind or touches you personally or changes your view of the world, please just write down 3 minutes, 30 seconds, or 15 minutes. Put the neighborhood time frame down, saying I looked at my iPod and there was 45 minutes left. Anything that gives us a clue on how to find it, and send it to radio@theothersideoflive.com. We would love your help listening through the older shows and saying this moment was one of your best, so that we can put it on this reel and get it out to stations.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I think that brings us to the end of everything, unless you have something more.
I think I am good.
So when you're out, I'm going to reiterate. So when you're out blazing that trail through your undiscovered country, blazing those trails wherever you go for yourself and for other people, find somebody who's been there before. Find your native guide, your mentor. Ultimately, get off your butt and move forward with this. Ready, fire, aim. You know, the fear that you're feeling is the only thing that's keeping you back. Once you get moving, that goes away. Once you achieving that systematic desensitization, everything, you get used to it. You're going to get used to what you're doing. You're going to find your path. You're going to create the path for you and other people. Have fun doing it. So, and that, I think.
Start with us. I want to just tack on one little thing. Start with us. At the end of every show, we're going to be playing your comments, your speak pipes, reading your emails, and like we did with the Den Man tonight, we're going to take your live calls. Start your Undiscovered Country here. Call in your comments. Let us play it. Let us enjoy it. We're going to love it. And know that of everybody out there listening, and you think, oh, that person had a great idea, everybody else thinks that about you. Start your Undiscovered Country here and call us.
Yep. All right, I think that's it. We're going to be taking everybody out. Ladies and gentlemen, I am R. Mordant Mon.
And I'm the, if you're scared, say you're scared, bear.
Ciao, dream catchers. That was awesome. Boom, baby. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
I know.